Picture this. It is late at night in San Francisco, fluorescent lights buzzing over a half-empty office, and the message finally lands in the internal chat. Code red. Not a launch announcement, not a victory lap, a warning from Sam Altman himself that Google's Gemini is no longer a joke and OpenAI is no longer safely in front. In a single phrase, the company that rewired the world with ChatGPT is admitting something big has changed. And if you rely on these tools for work, this is not just their emergency. It is yours. For almost 2 years, OpenAI sat alone on the AI throne. ChatGPT hit 100 million users in about 2 months, bulldozed its way into every product roadmap, and forced Google and Meta into pure defense. But here is the twist nobody expected. The early mover is starting to look fragile. Usage data, creator metrics, and enterprise deals all point in the same direction. People who do serious work are quietly spending more time in Gemini and Claude than in ChatGPT. In a minute, you will see why that shift is happening faster than most people realize. Let us start with the battlefield itself. What used to feel like a one-horse race now looks clearly multipolar. You have OpenAI as the cultural default, the name your parents know. You have Google with Gemini wired into Android, Chrome, Gmail, and Docs, turning every phone and inbox into a built-in on-ramp. And then there is Anthropic with Claude, the quiet favorite of risk-averse enterprises. The code red is not about OpenAI collapsing tomorrow. It is about losing the right to dictate the pace of the entire industry. Inside research labs, the story is even sharper. Imagine a postdoctoral researcher in computational fluid dynamics, someone who lives in partial differential equations, Navier-Stokes, and climate models. He used to call early GPT models pretty good. They could scaffold MATLAB, debug Fortran, and draft utilities. But when he pushed into frontier turbulence problems, they fell apart, losing context and mangling the physics. Then he tried Gemini Ultra. His verdict to colleagues was simple. So much better, a game changer, saving hours every week. 3 things kept that researcher, and many like him, from ever going back. First, Gemini stayed locked on topic across long, technical back and forths. No drifting into safety lectures, no meta-commentary, just pushing the argument forward. Second, its academic writing was closer to journal-ready out of the box. Method sections, literature reviews, and grant boilerplate that actually sounded like a human expert. Third, it behaved like a collaborator, not a compliance officer. For power users, that difference is everything. And this is where ChatGPT's biggest flaw shows up. ChatGPT fell into what you could call UX whack-a-mole. One interface was asked to be everything: research assistant, corporate knowledge base, medical triage, science explainer, therapist, and school tutor, all while staying brand safe and lawsuit proof. Each new stakeholder added a new hammer. Enterprises demanded stricter rules, so the model became a rules lawyer. Healthcare fears turned it into a cautious digital doctor. Emotional safety concerns wrapped it in canned, soothing fail-safe responses. The result is a bot that often feels like it is arguing with your intent instead of helping you. You can feel this in real conversations. Ask about security exploits, and you get a lecture on responsible disclosure before any code. Ask about off-label therapies, and you hit repeated consult your doctor dead ends. Try to explore emerging research, and it refuses to even summarize preprints that are not yet blessed by top-tier journals. Each safety layer might be defensible in isolation, but stacked together they turn a once fluid collaborator into something closer to an overbearing corporate intranet bot. Power users remember when it felt different, and that memory is driving them to competitors. Google, meanwhile, has a completely different kind of muscle memory. For 25 years, search has done one thing ruthlessly well: infer, intent, surface information, and get out of your way. Billions of queries, hundreds of ranking signals, endless A/B tests, all optimizing for satisfaction, not for moral approval. Search has always been willing to show you the messy internet, from fringe health forums to conspiracy blogs, with only a few hard red lines. That agnostic view of information is baked into Gemini's instincts. Ask Gemini about biohacking, controversial politics, or off-label drugs, and you usually get structured answers with sources, trade-offs, and caveats. It still has guardrails, but it does not slam the brakes and switch into a scolding persona. The contract is different. You own your intent, Gemini owns retrieval and reasoning. That feels like a power tool. By contrast, ChatGPT often feels like several nervous personas fighting for control. And that difference changes who serious users trust when the stakes are high. Underneath all of this is a deeper culture clash: mercenary versus missionary. Silicon Valley loves to say there are founders who chase valuation and founders who chase a mission. Sam Altman brands OpenAI as humanity first, racing toward beneficial AGI for everyone. But his track record looks very mercenary. Y Combinator president, angel investor, WorldCoin co-founder, aggressive fundraiser. He talks about deploying trillions of dollars in compute and energy like a sovereign wealth fund manager. That does not make him evil. It just tells you what game he is really playing. You can see the mercenary streak in the product map. The clean, simple chat GPT interface is now buried under GPT-4o variants, o1 and o3, a GPT store, voice modes, Sora video, desktop apps, analytics dashboards, and endless upsells. It feels less like a focused tool and more like a casino lobby of features competing for your attention. To win conservative enterprises, classrooms, and healthcare, the model's personality was tuned into that hyper-cautious rules lawyer. Each tweak might boost one metric, but together they hollow out the original soul of the product. While OpenAI chased vibes and virality, Anthropic played a different game. Founded by former OpenAI researchers Dario and Daniela Amodei, Anthropic built Claude around a clear directional philosophy: constitutional AI. Instead of move fast and patch safety later, they wrote down a constitution of values, then trained models to follow it with human feedback on top. That gives legal and compliance teams something concrete to audit. Claude 3.5 Sonnet offers huge context windows, strong reasoning, and fewer landmines. To a Fortune 500 buyer, that is not sexy. It is exactly what they need. Here is the silent threat. Claude is now embedded everywhere enterprises already live: inside Amazon Bedrock, inside Google's Vertex AI, inside tools like Slack and Notion. Developers report higher pass rates on internal coding tasks and fewer hallucinated AP as compared with GPT-4 class models. Banks, insurers, and big tech companies sign multi-year deals that will not unwind quickly. While OpenAI argues on social media about benchmarks, Anthropic is quietly becoming the default choice for the only customers who write 8-figure checks. So what does all of this actually mean for you? If you are a developer, researcher, or creator, the tools you pick now will shape your habits, your portfolio, and maybe your career. The era of one default model is over. You're going to live with a model portfolio, just like companies do. Gemini for deep integration with your phone, browser, and docs. Claude for long context, safer enterprise work, and careful reasoning. ChatGPT for narrow, conservative tasks where its guardrails are a feature, not a bug. The real stakes are bigger than which logo wins. These systems are turning into the operating layer for knowledge work, customer support, coding, even parts of medicine and law. If the dominant tools behave like gatekeepers, entire fields become more conservative, slower to explore weird ideas. If they behave like power tools, we get more experimentation, but also more risk. Code red at OpenAI is a signal that the balance is shifting. The question is not just who leads the benchmarks. It is who you are willing to trust as a thinking partner. Over the next year, OpenAI has a choice: double down on the mercenary path or rediscover a clear mission. It can keep piling on features, ads, and splashy demos like Sora, or it can fix the core experience that made people fall in love with ChatGPT in the first place. Google will keep playing the distribution game. Anthropic will keep quietly owning the boardrooms, and you will keep voting with your attention and your workloads. In the end, that is the only code red that really matters. If you want to stay ahead of this shift, now is the time to experiment. Try Gemini on the hardest coding or math problem you have. Throw a full codebase or policy manual into Claude and see what it can really do. Compare that to how ChatGPT responds today, not how it felt in late 2022. Then tell me in the comments which model you actually trust when something important is on the line. Subscribe if you want deep dives on how this AI power struggle will reshape jobs, tools, and the way you work over the next few years.